Welcome you for being here on a bright and early Saturday morning Super Bowl weekend. So that truly speaks to your commitment and your concern for our school district and our students. And so today we will have our very first real talk conversation with our superintendent, and it will truly be real talk. So Dr. Beasley is going to share the aspirations that we have for our students. There's a critical dialogue that needs to occur. We all will be engaged. We hope that you share your insight, that you ask questions, and at the end, we will provide you with an opportunity to give us feedback on the session. So at this time, please join me in welcoming our wonderful, dynamic leader, Dr. Morcease J.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Thank you all for being here today. I know you've got a lot to do today, so we're going to get you out of here. But we thought today we'd have a good conversation with all of you, so you can get an idea as to the direction we're headed in and why we got to head in that direction. And so our goal is to be very casual today and to be very low-key, but to be very engaging. And so I'm going to take a seat, because that's going to tell me to kind of keep it calm. But the content that we're going to discuss is one that I hope just gets you fired up and hopefully understanding what we've got to do as a school system to really fundamentally change the outcomes in our school district. So what I'd like to do is we're going to start with the why. Why are we having these conversations today? One reason we're having the conversation is it's time for us to have a different vision for our students here in Clayton County. Our vision has to be so much bigger than where we are. And I want you to see, as we've been discussing and having conversations with principals, we've been talking about a vision that exceeds currently our current reality, whatever our experiences we've had. That could be collectively and individually, our history, our culture, and environment. It's just time to do something fundamentally different in order to get some better outcomes for our kids. And so what I'd like to do is spend some time talking about our reality. I want you to look at this data right here. This is the only chart that I decided to put in this presentation, because I want you to see that right now, the green and the red it would be the areas where we want our kids to perform, proficient and higher. The yellow is they're performing, but they're not quite at grade level, but they're closer. The red means that they're well below grade level. That they're not learning the content that, unfortunately, they have been in classes all year to learn. And so when they take the test, the state test in particular here, they're not proficient. But I want you to see, this is overall across the board for ELA, math, science, and social studies. So in my mind, what I do, I add up the green and the blue, or I add up the red and the yellow. And I look at that data this year, then I go back and I look at that data over several years, and I'm seeing that data is not changing a whole lot. As we're working with teachers and students, it's not changing a whole lot. We may get a point here, 2 points there. Some schools are bumping up more than others. But on average, the data is not fundamentally shifting a whole lot. And I don't know about you, but that is just unacceptable to me. Some people say, well, the state test is a harder test. Well, yeah, it is. It's supposed to be. It's aligned to international standards for ELA, reading, math, science. It's a more rigorous test. But if the kids are in the classroom every day of the year learning that content, why are they not doing as well when they take the test? Someone says, well, they're learning, and we have evidence that they're growing. Our kids, they are growing, but we also understand that many of our kids, if you're proficient or distinguished, if you're green and blue at the beginning of the year, more than likely you'll remain green and blue. But if you go into the 3rd grade or the 4th grade, red and yellow, more than likely you'll do what? Remain yet red and yellow. Why? Because you're already what? Behind. So you're behind, and now you got to learn the new grades content, which The teacher is going to do his or her best to bring you up to this year, but every second they use to bring you up, that's the second that they don't have to teach this year's content. And so basically we're perpetuating, we're in a cycle. You all see that cycle? And that cycle has been our case. And then, I want to recommend you all read this book, Our Kids. Write it down. This has been probably one of the most revolutionary books that I've read that has really grounded me and given me something to think about relative to our kids. Our Kids by Robert D. Putnam, The American Dream in Crisis. But I want you to read it. I'm going to highlight just a few aspects of this book that I find to be very informative, but also relevant to what we're trying to do here in Clayton County. So just in case you did not know this, part of our reality is this. In Clayton County, about 60% of our families secure services, social services. About 60%. 60% of our families. Because of that percent being as high as it is, we qualify to provide free and reduced lunch to all of our students. So right now in Clayton County, 100% of our students are free and reduced lunch. That doesn't mean that 100% of them come from families with low income. That's not what that means. Because we are what we call a CEP district, Community Eligibility Provision District, because 60% of our kids access services, social services, beyond the school system. We qualify to offer all of our kids free and reduced lunch. So that's why we have 100% free and reduced lunch. So oftentimes in the educational arena and many other arenas, we use the status of free and reduced lunch as an indicator of poverty. It's probably one of the only common or consistent definitions of poverty for educational purposes. So we've got about 60% of our families who are basically accessing services, which would imply that we've got about a 60% on any given day. We've got some families that are struggling with making ends meet. We've got families that need food support, housing support, whatever type of support those social networks, safety networks will provide. There are some ramifications for educational outcomes when you have poverty. And whether we like to hear it or not, whether we like to acknowledge it or not, it is the case. It is the case. And when you read this book, if you've not read some of the data in this book, you will understand more of what I'm about to share. But there are a few things I want to basically discuss about poverty. Poverty is impacting the outcomes. We've given you a sheet. Did you all get the sheet here? I want you to take a second and look at how Clayton County compares. And we only selected the top 5 population-wise counties in the metro area, Clayton being one of them. But I want you to see how we compare to the other 4. Take a second to look at that. You can see the enrollment, and we're, as a county, we're getting close to almost 290,000 people. You can see the percent of black, percent of white, percent of Hispanic. Put a check next to the student mobility rate. You all see that mobility rate? So I'm going to tell you what that means in a second. You see the median income? That median income means half of our families are above that and half of our families are below that. Median family income. Look at the per capita income. Look at the median home values. And I want you to go down. Look at the percent of births to teen mothers. Look at where we are. Look at where the other counties are. Look at the percent of college degrees for Clayton County compared to other counties. You can see our high school graduates, those who have graduated from high school. of households with broadband. So I want to go back up to the student mobility. 31% means on any given day, 3 out of 10 of our kids are either withdrawing or enrolling. Withdrawing or enrolling, 3 out of 10. That means they're coming and they're what? They're going. What are the implications on learning? If they're coming and going, does that lack of consistency support kids learning at high levels? No, it doesn't. So what we're dealing with as a school system is a history. We're dealing with the history. You can go to the next slide. We've got a history here that tells us, and I don't know why Clayton County ended up being this county when compared to the other counties. I don't know. You probably have a better idea than I do. Someone says it has something to do when the Olympics came and they were cleaning up certain communities and they all came out this way. That may be the case. But whatever the case is, whatever caused it, it is what it was. It is what it is. And so what we've got to do as a community, and what I have in my role as superintendent, as I'm having conversation with principals and teachers and all, what I have decided is that as I look at school systems around the nation, primarily school systems that educate, for the most part, low-income students, and I look at their data outcomes, there are very few that are actually fundamentally shifting their data outcomes in a different direction. Very few, if any. But when I look at those school systems, oftentimes what I see are school systems that perpetuate poverty through their practices. You say, what do you mean? If you have a school system that serves primarily low-income kids, and then when the kids come to school, the adults have low expectations of them, guess what you do? You perpetuate their reality, which is poverty. If you have a school system that serves low-income children, and for the most part, nobody talks with them about going to college, nobody provides them advanced placement courses, nobody talks to them about dual enrollment, nobody talks to them about the things that we know will help them break the cycle of poverty, then what has the school system actually done? They have perpetuated the what? The poverty. You got a school system that serves low-income children, and there are no expectations relative to getting to school on time. No expectations about coming to school. No expectations about being engaged in the instructional process. And what have you done? You have contributed to the perpetuation of poverty. The question that we've got to fundamentally ask ourselves in Clayton County is, are we going to be a school system that perpetuates the situation as it is? Are we going to be a school system that actually changes or provides our students the opportunity to change the outcomes fundamentally? As we've been discussing with our community and our principals and teachers, we and our Board of Education, we have decided to be a school system that disrupts the past. And the reason I'm having this conversation with us today is because I want our community to understand and to support the decisions that we're making, that I'll be sharing, to disrupt that. It is not acceptable for our kids to be in poverty situations and then spend the rest of their lives in poverty. That is not acceptable. That is not acceptable. That can't be. You've heard the saying, it doesn't matter where you start, it matters where you end. But something is fundamentally wrong when where we start doesn't change. We're ending where we start. Why? Because oftentimes we're engaged in environments and systems that perpetuate the issues, the reality realities of where we started. And so how are we going to change that? How are we going to break that cycle, break that perpetuation of practices that contribute to more kids living in poverty? Listen to this, and this is what I want you to know. Since from 1970 to 2009, we've gone from 20% of families being living in low-income and poor neighborhoods to 30% of families living in low-income and poor neighborhoods. And we've gone from roughly, I would say about 60% of families, middle-income families, living in middle to low-middle-income neighborhoods to less than, I would say, it's about 50%. So we've got more families living in low-income neighborhoods and less families living in middle to low-middle-income neighborhoods. Something is wrong. But we also know that it's the education. The more educated an individual is, the less likely they are to be unemployed, the less likely are they to experience many episodes of unemployment. The more likely, the higher the median income. So the question that I often have is it okay? Is it okay for our kids to not aspire to make it to higher levels of income? No, that's not okay. Why? Because we also know that children who come from poverty situations, the situation is stacked more against them. So at some point, families, individuals, we have to break the cycle of poverty. We have to break the cycle of poverty. And there are many ways to do that, but the most significant, fundamental way of breaking the cycle of poverty that we have at our disposal is the level of one's what? Education. And anybody who speaks against education being a tool or means of breaking poverty doesn't quite understand what the data is saying. The data is very, very, very clear. Very clear. We have got to get our kids more educated. More educated. Why? So they can break the cycle of poverty. Just listen to a few things here. I mentioned this already. When we have births to unmarried moms, the percent of students, the percent of births to unmarried moms is only 10% when we have degrees. It's 67% when we have a high school education or less. Why is that important? Because the level of the mom's education, the research is telling us, has more of an impact on academic outcomes, more so even than the level of the father's education. The more educated the mom is, the more literate the mom is, the more verbal the mom is, guess what? The more opportunity the child has of developing those verbal literacy skills. And we've got research that tells us the more literate children are when they enter kindergarten, the more likely they will be what? Successful. Listen to this one. Parents' education in poverty. Poverty outcomes. Listen to this. We want, as parents, we want our children to be we want them to be able to make decisions and be independent, don't we? Listen to this. The percent of parents who want their children to be more obedient, and we want obedience, don't get me wrong. But we want them to be more obedient versus self-reliant. It's 65% for obedience when they have less than a high school education. And when they have a college degree, we want our kids to be obedient 27% of the time. The point is, the more education a parent has, the more opportunities that they can probably give their students relative to exposure, to the right types of environments. And so, as a school system, I think about that as a superintendent. We are getting the children that our parents send to us. So if I know the data is telling me that our kids have not had certain experiences, what can we do fundamentally different to change that? Do I continue to just say, oh, this is what we're getting, and so we just keep doing what we're doing? Or do we decide to do something totally different? And I want you to think about that, because I want to hear from you too. Listen to this. Trends in spending on children per child for households. People at the top income level, top 10%, they spend about $6,000 per child. This is in 2008 dollars. Persons in the lowest 10% spend less than $1,000 per child. Why do I share that? Because if you're spending $6,000 per child, that means that child is getting some opportunities that possibly the other children are not what? They're not getting. So we got children coming to our school system that may not have the same experiences, depending on the income of the household, that other kids may have who come from high-income families. That data would suggest that there are implications for what we should be doing with our kids, whether we like to acknowledge it or not. Listen to this. Time spent with both parents in developing the child. Parents with a bachelor's degree or more spend about 130 minutes developing the child. Parents with less than a high school education, or high school education or less, about 90 minutes. That 40-minute difference every day makes a big difference in the outcome. It doesn't mean that the parent without an education cares any less for their child. That ain't the point. That is not the point. Yes, they care more for their child, but oftentimes they gotta still make ends meet. And I asked the students this the other day, because we went over this data with our students the other day in our real talk. Because the family median income is lower in Clayton than it is in other places, other counties in the metro area. Do you pay less for your gas when you go to the gas payment? Do they ask you if you come from Clayton with the median incomes or less so they can give you the option of paying lower amounts for your gas? What about when you go to the grocery store and you got to buy the same milk, right? Do you pay less for your milk because you come from Clayton? What about when you go buy a car, regardless of the type of car you want? Do you pay less because you come from Clayton County? No, you don't. What about going to college for tuition? Are you going to pay less because you come from Clayton County? No. And so the point is, as a human being, you have the same desires, the same aspirations as everyone else. But our families in Clayton do as well. But the reality is they don't have as many resources. But then when we look at the percent, what percent on that handout has a college degree or higher in Clayton County? At least a bachelor's degree. What percent? 19%. So look at the median income and look at the percent with a college degree. And then look at the median income for other counties and the percent that have what? College degrees. There is a relationship, isn't it? Absolutely. There is a relationship. And so the reason I'm having this conversation and sharing the data is because part of our work in Clayton County is to change the expectation when it comes to our students. It is not acceptable for our kids, given where they are, to not get an education beyond high school. It is unacceptable. Why? Because then we perpetuate their current reality of poverty. And that is unacceptable. If we don't get our kids educated beyond a high school diploma, then basically what we're telling our kids is that you're going to have less resources than everybody else. Your money will not go as far. You may see the same house and cars, but you won't be able to do it because you won't have as many resources. Now, I don't know about y'all, but that message doesn't fly very well with me. And that message doesn't sit very well with me when it comes to my children. And that message should not sit well with none of us. If we know that education is the currency to more resources so you can have a higher quality of life, then what should we be ensuring that our children have? An education. Period. You say, oh, everybody doesn't have to go to college. Well, maybe in some communities they don't have to go to college. But I can assure you, this is not one of those what? Communities. In some communities, they may have the benefit of resources. That means they don't have to go to college. But is Clayton County one of those communities? Kind of like some families. In some families, even in Clayton, you may not have to go to college because mom and dad, they may have you. They may have sufficient resources to help bump you up in life. But then there are some of us, self-included. I didn't come from that type of family. I had to do what? I had to go get me an education in order to change the quantity of resources that I had access to. We live in a county where, I'll be very honest with you, this is my opinion, if it matters for anything, this is not a community where we can go around saying everybody doesn't have to go to college. We need all of our kids in Clayton County. Why? In order to change not just their quality of life, but the children that they will have need to be born in a better situation financially, educationally. That has to be our work here in the school system, working with the partners in the post-secondary institutions. We've got to get more of our kids successful at the K-12 experience, graduating high school, being accepted into college, and completing some type of post-secondary education. And I can go on and on and on. That's why I want you to read the book, because I don't want this to be about the data per se, but I want you all to hear me. So what are we doing here in Clayton County? What are we doing? The first thing we're doing is we're raising graduation rates. Did you all know that this is the first year, 2018, last year, was the first year our graduation, district-wide grad rate hit over 70%. Did you all know that? Well, you should. So that means out of 100 kids, 70 are graduating. What's happening to the other 30? I don't know about you, but 30 kids out of 100 not graduating is too many kids not graduating, because that's the 30 that's going to end up in those low-income situations. Because what can you do without a high school diploma? You can't do anything. Other than start your own business, and if you've got resources, that may work out. But beyond that, there are not many opportunities afforded to someone without a high school diploma. So, just so you know, a little over 70%. We have 11 high schools. 4 of them are in the 70s with their graduation rate. 7 of them are in the 80s. 7 of them are 80% and higher. 2 of them are at 100%. So we're moving, we're improving. But we will not be satisfied until we can graduate, if not 100%, very close to 100% of our students. So we're improving grad rates. But not just beyond grad rates, because a lot of folks graduate and they stop in high school. But when they do that, they confine themselves to the lowest income level oftentimes. We've got data as educators, and I'm sure you have seen it, that the income level, median income for those who have less than high school, those who have a high school diploma, those who have an associate, some college, those who have an associate degree, those who have a bachelor's degree, a graduate degree. Clearly, as you earn more education, the median income does what? It increases. You say that's not important. Yes, it is important. It's important because that means you have access to more resources, so you can do and take care of your family and have a higher quality of what? Of life. It is important. When we look at the news and we see these young men breaking and robbing from folk, why are they robbing? Because your needs don't go away because you made a decision not to get educated. That need, that desire to have, you still have it. And if you don't get it through an income, a legal means, people will do illegal things to what? To get it, even hurt people. And if you study even the prison data, most people in prison have a lack of what? Education. And so the school system, Clayton County, this is the one we're responsible for, has to ask itself a fundamental question. Are we going to contribute and perpetuate this cycle of poverty, or are we going to do something different? We have decided to do something different. So we're increasing grad rates. So let's talk about what we decided to do different. The first thing, we are focused on our early learning. We're teaching our kids how to read. And so we directed resources to ensure that our kids can read. We've got to teach them how to read in order for them to read to learn. So in the first grade, the first few grades, pre-K, kindergarten, first and second grade, we're teaching our kids how to read. We're monitoring that very closely. Let me tell you the challenge we're having. We've got kids, many of our kids coming to kindergarten, and they've never seen an alphabet. Now, a kindergarten teacher can't do much relative to content if they're teaching nothing but a kid, nothing but their alphabet. So you mean the child has been in the house for 5 years, 5 years, and no one has taken out time in light of how important reading is, right? No one has taken out time to teach the child their alphabets. No one has taken out time to teach the child their numbers, even if you just teach the numbers 1 to 20. No one has done that. No one has taken out time to show the kid how to take letters and put words and make words. Then they come to kindergarten, and then the kindergarten teacher does all that he or she can do, but doesn't really teach all the kindergarten content because the year is over before they can get to it, right? Why? Because they had to spend a lot of time teaching what? How to teach the alphabet. And then that kid gets promoted to what grade? First grade. And instead of being on first grade reading level, which they're not, why aren't they on first grade reading level? It's not because the teacher hadn't done a great job in kindergarten. The teacher started where the student came in. But unfortunately, there wasn't enough time in the day or days in the school year for the teacher to get that kid reading at the level that he or she needed to read at the end of kindergarten. So now that kindergarten gets promoted to first grade, and what does the first grade teacher have to do? Teach them stuff that they should have learned when? And try to get the stuff they got to learn in what grade? Not enough time in the day. Not enough days in the school year. And then they get promoted to what grade? Y'all get the point? You should. So we're working to make sure that our kids in Clayton are getting what they need. And so we're using some digital tools. Teachers are teaching reading, that face-to-face instruction. But we also have some resources to help many of our kids who are just struggling to develop those reading skills before they land in 3rd grade. But I'll be very honest with you. I need families to step up. Families have got to figure out, and that's why we've got an initiative right now where we've created our Smart Start bags, and we're giving families, we're going to the hospitals where the moms are having the babies, and we're giving them kits of things and resources that they can do with the children to help develop those literacy skills. We're working with the Clayton County Board of Health to set up in the WIC office when moms come and need access of those resources. We're setting up a literacy office there so we can engage with the mom and the children and provide access. Help parents understand how important it is to develop, how that brain is forming in those first 8 years. And these are things you want to do to help your child's brain develop appropriately so they'll be more likely to enter kindergarten or pre-K ready for that experience. And so we're doing those type things. Teachers are teaching in the classroom. We are reaching beyond the classroom. And so we believe our strategy is going to help us over time. Our kids who are in grades 3, 4, and 5, our teachers are teaching the grade level content. We're also ramping them up in their reading skills and their math skills. We've provided a tool. While the teacher's providing face-to-face instruction, we have a tool that we call iReady that helps the students work on those reading skills, work on those math skills. So we're ramping up elementary schools. Starting next year, all of our elementary kids are going to start doing projects. We want them to understand what it means to think through a problem and solve problems. And so across the board, our kids are going to be doing problem-based learning. That is important. Will it be tough? Yeah, it will be tough. But what we need to build in our kids is resilience. Resilience. Our teachers, our parents, principals, and all have to work together to ensure that our kids are developing that resilience. So as our kids move from K-5, kindergarten through 5th grade, or pre-K-5, as they move from elementary school to middle school, what are we doing? Starting next year, and we decided to start with our rising 6th graders next year. All of them will be taking accelerated math. You say, why accelerated math? The goal, math, algebra, is a gateway course. It is an indicator of family and individual income levels for one's life. So we've decided that all of our 8th graders in 2 years will be taking algebra in the 8th grade. The only way they'll be able to do that is we've got to accelerate them all starting in 6th grade. So our curriculum team, we're working with teachers, identifying the standards that we need to teach in grade 6 and grade 7 in order for all kids to be in algebra in 8th grade, starting this fall. Again, rising 6th graders toward all of them being in algebra in the 8th grade. We've got examples right now, one school in particular, elite scholars. All of those 6th grade kids come from all other elementary schools in the district. But they have the expectation that elite scholars that they all take accelerated math. Well, it should be of no surprise to you that elite scholars has one of the highest 6th grade math scores in the district at 75% or so. So if it's good enough for the kids at elite scholars, and they've not had anything different than everybody else, why is it not good enough for what? All kids. And so we have decided to disrupt the pattern of just doing what we've been doing, thinking we're going to get some different outcome. We've decided to disrupt the pattern, and all 6th graders will take accelerated math, and within 2 years, all of those students will be in algebra. We're also looking at our middle school to see how we can ramp up rigor in the classroom. So more to come in that area, but that's where we're starting. So as they move through K-5 to 6-8 middle school, school, and then they go to high school. What happens? We always say we want our kids college and career ready. I've told people recently, stop saying that if you don't mean it. Because if someone's college and career ready, that means that they're ready to go into college. That means they've had experiences that suggest, the data would suggest, that they can handle college level content. What we've decided to do is, starting with the rising ninth graders next year, all of them will be expected to take one advanced placement course. Every single one of them. Somebody say, even if they're special ed? Yes, even if they're in special ed. They may struggle. Good. They'll struggle with high expectations. They'll struggle at a higher level, which will bring them up to a what? Higher level. Said everybody won't make a 3, 4, or 5 on the AP test. Everybody's not making a 3, 4, or 5 down on the AP test, so that ain't our issue. But we have research, and we're working with College Board that helped us to identify which courses would be a great first course for a kid who's not had an AP course. We're working with the National Math Science Initiative. They're working with us to ensure that our kids have opportunities for extra support throughout those AP courses. So all rising ninth graders, and that expectation will matriculate with them. So by the time they become seniors, they should be able to look at their high school transcript and see that they've had at least 4 AP courses on their high school transcript, or dual enrollment courses. And I would imagine that a college would look at that and say that this kid is probably more college ready. Higher expectations, not just for a small group of kids, but for what? All kids. Because if we keep doing what we're doing, you all, I'm going to be honest with you, that data that you saw on that chart with the red, it's not going to change much. And if we're happy with that, we just got to accept that if we're going to keep doing what we're doing. But I'm not one that likes to keep doing the same thing expecting that I'm going to get a different outcome. Nor is those of you that are in this room, I would imagine. And so, our work at the high school level, as our kids are in advanced placement, we provided them a tool. Right now, all of our high school students have access to Achieve 3000. That tool allows them to see what their reading level is. And we have given them the target of the reading level target that one should be reading on in order to do well in a college level course or textbook. All of our kids should be working toward that. We call that target our college and career ready indicator. That means by the time our kids get to 12th grade and graduate, we're expecting 100% of them to reach that target. It's about 1,300 or so, Lexile schools. And if they're not there, whether they're in the 9th grade or the 10th grade, 11th or 12th grade, they've got a tool that they can use to be practicing. Now, I'll tell you this, one of our challenges is many of our kids spend more time on social media than they do working on the things they need to be working on. That's because what I believe has occurred is they've allowed their reality, the culture of their environment, it has framed and formed their thinking. And so they only see or think based upon what they're exposed to. Our responsibility as educators, as adults, as parents, is to expose our kids to something a lot bigger than where they are. And so we are going to do that by ramping up our expectations for all kids. I need our high school kids in Clayton County in school every day, getting to class every day, thinking critically, and when they leave those classrooms, working on their literacy, their reading skills. There's only so much a teacher can do. I can bring you all the food in the world and lay it out for you. I can take you to a what is your responsibility? You got to eat it, and you got to do what? You got to drink it. And so I happen to be one of those individuals who understands that a teacher can't do it all. That there has to be something in the individual that would suggest, even through difficult family situations, and we all have had them, even through difficult environments, that I am going to go somewhere fundamentally different. I am going to get the education that I need in order to change the outcomes in my life. I am going to navigate this. I am not going to be a victim of my circumstances, albeit I didn't cause those circumstances. I didn't choose to be born into this situation. Someone made a choice for me. But now that I'm getting older and I can make a choice for myself, I'm going to choose a different outcome. And we've got to help our kids choose better outcomes. So the real talk is we're doing things fundamentally different in Clayton. And what I'm asking this community to do is to support the direction we're headed in. There are no other districts, and our partners have shared, they don't know of any other district that has decided to do what we're doing. They have expectations for groups of kids, but not for all kids, like we've decided to do. But when I look at where we are, our reality, and our data, and what's happening, and the implications of poverty, I feel a moral obligation and responsibility to disrupt that. And to make sure that 100% of our kids are graduating from high school, are getting accepted into college, and graduating from college. And to that end, we have, and hopefully you've seen our HBCU promise. As our kids are applying to primarily white institutions, HBCUs, we're working with the presidents to basically ask them if they would accept our students. My goal, our commitment, is when kids graduate and they walk across the stage in May, that when their names are called, the college that they've been accepted into will also be called. And our counselors are working diligently to do that right with our seniors right now to make that happen. Not only are they working on those college applications, but they're working on that financial aid. So we'll know that at least when they get there, that first year of financial aid is what? Taken care of. I'm working with colleges right now. I've got several colleges. I've been working with the presidents. When they see kids, when they see the applications from Clayton County Public Schools, they have directed their decision makers to accept those kids and even give them additional funds to get through, to help make up the money that they may need to stay in school. We've got Benedict College. We've got Southern University. They've invited us out. We met with a contingency yesterday. So we'll be going out to Southern to work out a memorandum of understanding that they will admit our kids and provide additional resources so our kids can graduate. And so I probably have been to more meetings than I've ever had to go to in my life. But that's what it takes, because when you recognize that this work is so much bigger than where we are today, we've got to make sure that our kids are prepared. And I'm telling the presidents, we're going to do our best to make sure they're prepared. I need you to give our kids a chance. And then when they land on your college campus, I need you to connect them with mentors and individuals who can keep up with them and motivate them, and financial aid officers who can make sure they have the resources that they need in order to complete that experience and earn those college degrees. Why is that important? Because we know that the education, the level of one's education in this country, in this world, is the currency to navigate the system. And why would we keep graduating our kids or not graduating our kids with them not having the currency to navigate the system, to develop or create the quality of life that will give their family, them as individuals and their family, options and resources and insurance where they live, where they work, where they play, where they learn, resources. When we live in a world or a society that no longer needs money or income to navigate, then that maybe, just maybe, we'll be in a position to not encourage education. But I don't see our society going that way anytime soon. As a matter of fact, I see our society creating a clear distinction between those who what? Have and those who don't have. And that distinction, unfortunately, is based upon education in many cases. And so, I'm giving you just a tag of what we're doing. It sounds easier than it will be to implement, but we didn't take this job because we thought it would be easy. One thing we understand is that anything worth doing is worth going through a struggle to get done. Anything worth doing is worth being criticized for. There are many folk who have been criticized for the good that they've done. But criticism never killed anybody. And so we're not going to be killed. We're going to navigate the situation, and we're going to improve our outcomes long term. So I'm going to pause here and give you a chance to respond, ask questions, share feedback. And I want you all to know, whether you agree or disagree, you share how you feel about the matter. We'd like your support. But if you don't agree, we understand that as well.
What are we doing? I commend for the direction she's going. Because when I mentioned the first time, well, I think a year ago, in the first meeting I was in, I actually mentioned something similar to what direction you're taking the kids into right now. So I actually really do commend you for actually staying true to form and actually going in that direction. Because I've always been an advocate that I don't care how smart the child is or how slow you think the child must be. The child can't learn nothing if you don't expose them to something. You know, oh, well, that's too hard for them. How would you know? We don't know what direction our kids are going into. We don't know where our kids will be 20 years from now. They could be the President of the United States. They could be your boss. We don't know that. But you've got to expose them to something. But my question is, I hear that we are starting the kids ready for the AP program in the 6th grade for May, obviously. Yeah. But I also heard that for the 3 to 4 year olds, we're exposing them more to the reading. But the question is, with the math side also, how are we getting them ready for the 6th grade math that we know is the platform to what they're going to face in the 8th grade for those AP courses? Where are we going with that? Because we can't forget about that.
That's a very good question, and we've not. And so right now, our teams are looking at what needs to happen in those math classes at the elementary level, so we can make sure that those very specific skills that they need to be successful in the 6th grade, that they're getting those. Even to the point that schools and teachers are looking at, you know, once we get through testing in May, how do we use the last 2 or 3 weeks of school to ramp up kids and expose them to that 6th grade content before they even get to 6th grade. And we're also looking at summer options as well, summer learning options as well. And so, but we've not. So we're really looking at the standards. That's what we call the what students should know and be able to do. We're looking at those standards just to make sure that the teachers are really focusing on those standards that we know those kids need to know in order to do well and be successful in that 6th grade accelerated math.
But why wait to the last 2 or 3 weeks of school?
No, it's happening throughout the year. Mm-hmm. And they're learning 5th grade content now. Mm-hmm. But we want to make sure that we kind of like accelerate them even in 5th grade and give them a good immersion in the content that they will be getting as they get to 6th grade. So when they get there, they would have been exposed to much of that information, some of that information as well.
And just one little caveat also. I've never been to one, but I would think also that we can kind of step up the plate for us everybody is not necessarily 4-year college ready.
That's right.
So I think that they also should kind of focus on encouraging the kids who might not necessarily be thinking about, oh, college is too much for me, thinking about a trade school where they pick up a certificate, which would give them the platform to get, oh, okay, well, the economy's bad, but I got a certificate. I can go out and still find and make that money. So I think a focus on that need to be also brought about, and that way you will pull more kids in and think, oh, well, I can do this now. I might not be 4-year college ready for an engineer, because that's not my interest. However, I can do what they can do and still make money.
And that's a good point, and a part of our initiative is doing just that. So we're also working with 2-year colleges to ensure that for kids who can't get into a 4-year college, trade school, technical schools, that's part of the work. Every kid is going to be somewhere. And so we're not excluding 2-year experiences or 4-year experiences. We're looking at all of the options. We call it post-secondary options, whether it be a 2-year college, associate degree, a credential, etc. I did forget to mention that all of our 9th graders will be expected to take a career pathway. And so that lends itself to having a credential by the time they graduate from high school as well, that they can build upon as they go to a technical school or into some type of program beyond high school. And so that's an expectation we'll have as well.
Oh, so I'm mistaken, we see you.
Very good, very good, very good.
You have a question.
Okay.
Good morning. Just want you to know I support your plan 100%. Think you're doing great things within our school system. Because of you, I decided to stay in Clayton County to assist you with your mission. I'm very involved. However, I cannot help but think of me when you was talking and you say real talk. My father has a high school diploma. My mom dropped out in 10th grade. They didn't know anything about education or how to educate me to be successful. I had to learn along the way. One of the things that they gave me early that is not allowed now, I don't know if I'm telling my age, I don't know if you guys have heard of Head Start.
Yeah.
My parents didn't teach me alphabet. Head Start did. And when you say the kindergarten teachers are too busy teaching alphabets for the kids to stay home and go straight from home to kindergarten and do not know their alphabet, what happened to the program? Because we have pre-K, but that's a lot of them. So a lot of kids, younger kids, are not getting exposed as they should that will assist them when they start kindergarten. Because I had Head Start on my side, I was able to skip kindergarten and go straight to 1st grade. Being that said, even through school, my mom and dad never helped me with homework. I relied solely on school teachers. And what they did at my high school and at my school, where I was born and raised in Camden County, was they put me in classes with other kids that were willing to learn. And it kind of became a competitive, a great competition. I didn't want to be the one when the teacher said, come up and get the certificate. I always wanted to go get a certificate. I didn't want to be the one to stay back and sit there and watch everybody else get accolades and I didn't. So I'm only saying this, and everything I'm saying is leading to my next question. Our gap, our BC students who are not able to get into the magnet programs, or, if we can kind of combine them with kids that are excelling and put them, and stop separating and kind of integrate within our school system so that kid can see, hey, if that kid is doing it, I'm doing it. I can do it too. Because my son always said, he's not smarter than me. Prove it. Prove it. And I always hear him and his friends doing competitions. I bet you I get an 8. I bet you I get an 8. I bet you can get me. So I'm saying, I say all this to say, how could we assist, do that program of how could we get rid of this lottery and start from scratch so we can help our teachers so they won't be overwhelmed?
I doubt if we'll ever get rid of the school choice because a lot of families want choice and we support choice. And you should know that and we're working to really expand choice options. But even beyond the school choice options, when I talk about advanced learning for all kids, that is all kids, regardless of whether they go to a magnet school or a theme school, etc. It's all kids. And so rest assured that all of our kids are going to be in classes where they have high expectations of all students. The teachers have high expectations of all students. Relative to the early learning piece, the pre-K piece, we serve about 25% of our kindergartners in pre-K based upon the number of seats that we have. That's predicated upon funding from right from the start. 25% of our kindergartners in this county go to private funders, private daycares. We got about 50% in the county that are not going anywhere. And that means we got to get more parents informed. One thing we're doing as a county, we're in the process that if our next floss passes, and we're hopeful that it will, we're going to develop an early learning center so we can open up more seats. But even that, once we do that, it won't be enough seats. And so we're hoping that parents will take advantage of whatever seats we have, but also the private providers who are providing daycare and pre-K services in our community. We just need to see more about kids. The research is clear. Those kids who get an early start in pre-K, they just seem to do better. And so we understand all the financial implications and resource implications, but we're working to do our part in expanding access by offering, like this year, I think we increased our pre-K enrollment by about 80 seats. About 80 seats. So we're expanding, but it's always, we have to work in concert with the funding source, and hopefully we'll get another 80 or more seats this year. And as we bring our early learning center, we're going to use the old Riverdale Elementary School. We're going to tear down portions of it and build a new early learning center there.
All right, and one more thing, I love the school choice. How do, I got an email that stating that, if a child is not accepted into a certain program, how could we find out why? I only just got the email that said it was,
The lady sitting right there, she can answer that question.
All right, I have to talk to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have a child at Lovejoy and a child at Stillwell. Different environments, same expectations. So first of all, I commend you for setting the bar high. I am an HBCU grad, so I push HBCU wherever I go. And I'd just like to get more information on the HBCU Promise Program.
Very good. Thank you for the question. Just so you'll know, we have our students in Clayton County use the HBCU Common Application. So there are about 8 or so institutions. When they apply to one, they apply to all of them. And so what we've been doing is encouraging our kids to apply using that application, because they don't have to pay an application fee for all those schools. And then on our end, the leadership, the superintendent and the cabinet and others, we've been meeting with presidents and teams from the various universities to see if we can get commitments to do two things: accept our students from Clayton County when they see Clayton County Public Schools applicants, and then to provide additional financial resources to make their financial package, aid packets, what they need, sufficient to stay there that first year in college.
So all of the counselors are already aware?
They are all aware, and we're monitoring that, and so you should see, and I don't know what grade is your child or children?
9th and 11th.
So they probably hadn't started using the application because they're 11th graders, but all seniors are, but feel free to inquire with your counselor, and they'll let you know. But that's our work, is to get our kids accepted, and then offline we're building these relationships to hopefully guarantee them some acceptance, and then to hopefully get some promises or commitments for additional resources when those applications say Clayton County Public Schools.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Rhonda. I have 3 children. I have a daughter that's in college, and she went from 6th to 12th grade her whole time at Elite Scholars. And when she graduated, the first year of college, the second year of college was very easy for her because She went to Elite Scholars. And to give you a little background, my daughter has a learning disability. It was recognized at Elite Scholars and diagnosed at Elite Scholars. And she had an IEP her whole time. I was very hesitant in sending her there, but in the lottery, she was number 4. So I said, let's go. This is God. So we went, she did well. I have twin boys. One is a normal kid, and one also has a learning disability. They're at the magnet school for singing. They're both trying out for Stillwell. Yes. So the one that is regular, he's not in AP classes because he's a little bit sorry, but he makes A's and B's. He never misses it. The one that struggles, that has learning disabilities, his teachers are so substandard. I feel like his 7th grade year, he didn't have a math teacher that was, you get letters, this person's not qualified to teach math. And I'm not saying that they didn't try, because all of the teachers I've ever met in Clayton have been caring and wanted to do their best, but they're not able to do it sometimes. What are you doing to kind of help that? Because when we were at Elite, all those teachers were above and beyond. And that's the issue that I have, because the kids that needed that, my boy that's the A and B student, he has the best of the best teachers. But the kids that kind of need it more, their teachers are like, not always credentialed like they should be.
Well, part of our work is to ensure that all of them are credentialed. And as you well know, part of recruiting and retaining high-quality teachers has a lot to do with the community and the type of teacher candidates we draw to this community. Not only draw or recruit, but that we retain. And so as you gave an example of yourself, teachers at one school versus teachers at another school. Why are those teachers of one quality and the teachers at the other school of a different quality or a lesser quality? There are always factors that play into that. So our work and our commitment is we're working with our principals and HR to ensure that we hire the best and then we retain the best. But I have to tell the community, you all, I have said this several times, retaining teachers is just not the superintendent's responsibility. The message, the way parents interact with teachers, the way children behave, all of those things impact whether or not you draw, you recruit good teachers and retain them. And so I would say to all of us, yes, I have a responsibility as a superintendent, principals have a responsibility, but this community has a responsibility. When all the images we see on television are negative images coming out of Clayton County, don't be surprised if we can't hire high-performing teachers. And so I even share that with the government. And that's why we build a positive relationship with the media so we can get more positive images about our children. Remember, when people look for jobs, they're Googling communities. And so when they Google Clayton and all they see is drama, they're going to just go Google somewhere else. And so it's all of us. Yes, we have a responsibility to recruit and retain, ensure they have the right degrees, etc., and that they use the right strategies and that those strategies are working. But the community has a responsibility too. I need, people are drawn to high-performing communities. And so people want to be in successful communities. They want to be in communities that are winning. Does that make sense?
It absolutely
Yes, it does.
It does. But if you know that you have students that can get things easily, and you know you have students that are struggling, my issue is, why are you giving my A student the best of the best teachers, and you're just going to let my C student, B student, the ones that have the learning disabilities, just struggle?
Yeah, I would have a problem.
I have a problem with that.
Yeah, I would
because
too.
that should be flipped.
I would too. That's a conversation because we have high-performing teachers at every school.
Absolutely.
And we've got some challenging teachers, I'm sure, at many schools. So the conversation to be having with that principal would be, what are we doing to get the expectations of this teacher comparable with the high expectations of the next. And that's what we're here to help support, that conversation.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have 3 things. Is there any information regarding joining the parent advisory committee? I know
You just come to the meetings, there's no qualifications. Just when they're announced, if you're interested, you just come. It's open participation.
Okay. The second part I have 2 things. In my observation, I've been a Clayton County resident for about 20 years. Been in the system. We're in our 8th year. And I think one thing that's lacking from when I was in school is the value of education being taught or being taught to children. And I know from the younger kids, it's hard for them to realize and kind of explain it to them. But to the older kids, I know I got into middle school and high school, we were always taught since Black History Month about the struggle of Black people in being educated in America. We are a predominantly Black district, so the word that I see coming home, I don't know if the value and the struggles that we've had is being taught, and maybe that can go on into how children and families receive the education that they're being given. So I think the value of education is not being communicated on what you actually gain. I know we talk about going to college, but to know that it was once withheld from us for a reason, to communicate that to our students and maybe that have some sort of impact on the outcome. To that comment is teaching the household how to have values. Like you were mentioning, if you have a family that's impoverished, that's something that is systematic, but how do we get those parents to see, we're teaching not your child, but your family, because the mindset of the family has to change in order for the child to make some changes. Because you can't say we're going to pour all this education into a kid and then the support at home, they don't care.
Well, and to your point, that's why we're having these sessions, we're recording these, because I can't get to everybody's house, nor can you. And so we're going to take this video and we're going to send it to everybody's email, and hopefully they'll watch it, and they'll listen to it, and they'll glean something, and it will make them think, and it will cause them to take some type of action. Like you said, the value of education, how do you teach that? You model that. Children who read, they come from households where they see adults who are what? Who are reading. And we've got to model those things in every household. We've got to shift. We've got to start creating cultures of high performance. And don't allow our income levels to dictate to us how we should act and behave. Stereotypes, how we should act and behave. We define who we are by our actions. And we've got to get all of our households, all of our adults, all of our students understanding that education is important. Whether you get some type of certificate or a degree or higher graduate degree, education is what? Important. You've got to prepare yourself because it gives you options.
But is there an initiative, I guess, to bring in families? Because I look at, completing an elementary school cycle and then we're in another one. And just at my school, I think things have changed with the timing of after-school programs. They're starting earlier. But how do we bring in families and do it on purpose to say, hey, you recognize that your child is struggling? That's probably an indicator that you may not be as educated as, you probably would like for you to be to help your child. So how can we start some family education? And even though, you can't pay for adult learners, all of them, but is there something to bring the family in to say, hey, let's get educated together?
Well, that's a good question. We have our parent engagement. We have parent liaisons, family engagement, parent engagement liaisons in most schools. And they're doing those school-based activities we have at the district level, our parent academies. And, there are many. We've got the ESOL department has many opportunities for parents. We have many opportunities. I think that the word is, and we're getting the message out there, but they got to take advantage of these resources. And that's part of that culture. And the truth of the matter is this: oftentimes, lower income families don't take advantage of resources as often or to the degree of more educated families. That's part of the reality. And so that's why we try to use all the platforms we're using to get the word out there, to get the message out there, and encourage families. Here are the resources. We need you to take advantage of those resources. We've got to start in all the circles that you have influence, we have influence. We've got to encourage and start having that conversation with people. That's why this is called a real talk. We've got, we're taking advantage of all these resources. We're offering these platforms, these resources, but we got to get people understanding. And that, to me, that speaks to understanding the value and appreciating the value of education. And you're right. I think we've got to get back to that in every household, talking about the value of education.
But if it's not happening in the household, how can we, I guess some messages in the school, other than you have to do it, you can take the test, but actually instilling value, because then you know that there's a world outside of, that brick housing community that you may come from. I didn't grow up in public assistance, but I went to all black schools growing up, and I went to, HBCU. So it was just a different mindset, in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. But, I came from that, so that's what I'm teaching my kids, and I know most of them. Nowadays, the kids that are in the system, their parents grew up in the 80s and the 90s. I think it's just, to me, it's just the people who are doing the educating, they are forgetting what got them, or not practicing what got them where they are. I guess that makes it like.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know if they should be the ones to carry the full burden of that.
It's not the full burden, but I think there's some things I was exposed to. Yeah, and I know teachers have everybody has to play their role, but it's some things that I wasn't taught at home. I think now parents, it's a lot of work being a parent of a kid in school, and it's like, I work full time, then I gotta do extra stuff just to make sure that you may, do enough to make the grade. That's a lot of work, and that's the work that I know my parents didn't have to do. Nobody checked my homework. Nobody reminded me to do my homework. Nobody, I need to go to the library. I have to make sure I ask for some things in advance so they can take me, or whatever. Or I had to come up with some bus fare to get on the lesson go. So all the responsibility that I'm required, my parents didn't, but it was known that you need to make the grade. I think that's communicating, and I like the idea of having schools in the hospitals early, but there's some things that, as far as responsibility level, that maybe if the school require of students, then it's easier. I'm going on all these different.
No, but we hear you, and the truth of the matter is, what we're dealing with is very complex.
Yeah.
Because as I shared earlier, we've got a lot of kids who come from very young parents and uneducated parents. And I don't mean that in a negative way. They just did not get education. And they're struggling. The bottom line is they're struggling. Financially, they're struggling in many ways. And our children are growing up in those traumatic environments, and we're dealing with that in our schools. I don't know all the solution. I do know that we've got to get more people taking advantage of the resources that we're offering, hearing the message, and taking action. And the school system has a responsibility. The churches and religious institutions have a responsibility. Business leaders, governmental leaders, they all have a responsibility of advancing this work and these expectations about what we need to do to create those environments that our kids thrive in. So no, you don't have all the answers. We don't have all the answers. But all of these strategies hopefully will converge to move the community forward in a different direction, in a better direction. Thank you.
Hi again.
Hello there.
No, I just want to, we're talking about resources. We're talking about resources, and one of the resources that I have not heard mentioned are recreational resources available for our children. I know we're starting the basketball and cheerleading squad, okay, that just started. And I know that auditions are going on this morning for the musical. You know I'm involved, okay? My grandson is involved in all this stuff. My question is, have we thought about talking with Parks and Recreation about getting some social activities at the schools for our children? Because I realize and I understand transportation is an issue in our county, okay? Even for the basketball right now, transportation for some of these parents who work is an issue. So is there a way that we can get more of our children involved in social activities? Because that's also very important for their learning. You know, that helps to give them a more well-rounded education and social skills. Because some of these children, when we go outside to play, they don't know how to play. They don't know how to socialize with other children because, like you said, their only exposure are to social media. So is that something that we might consider in the future? Maybe partnering with Parks and Recreation to maybe get some more activities going. I know the school can't do it, but could we maybe get Parks and Recreation? I know, you know, we have Parks and Recreation in Forest Park, and we do take advantage of the Parks and Recreation activities. But is there a way that the school can maybe think about that, and maybe them coming to the schools and providing something after school?
We've already begun that conversation, so we're working toward hopefully some summer recreational activities in partnership with the Parks and Recreation that will then extend into the school year. And so yes, we are. We do recognize that's why we have the new elementary athletic program that we've implemented, that we're currently implementing. And so right now, team members are working with the Parks and Recreation, having conversations about how we can actually leverage the use of our facilities, their resources towards getting more kids engaged in recreation activities. So yes, ma'am, we do agree with you, and we're working toward that. And you should know, I know earlier this year we sent out a survey on middle school, after school programs. So part of our work, in addition to the park and recreation conversation, is to expand our after school programming to the middle schoolers as we start the fall. And so we're working to develop that after school program as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we have time for one final question.
I'm not short. Respectfully. Good morning. So, Dr. Beasley, I appreciate everything that you've done for the county. I moved into the county right when we lost our accreditation. And I turned to my husband and I said, what did we do? Because we had just bought the house and my son was 9 months old. So he attends Rex Mill Middle STEM School under the direction of Dr. Karen Turner, the principal of the year. I'm the PTO president of Rex Mill Middle School. I am impressed with what you have done. Thank you for your work. Thank you to your administration. Thank you to all of your support staff. You guys are doing a great job. Okay? So respectfully, this is what I'm going to back up. This is a very involved parent up here, Latricia Wright. She and I have worked together on PTA, PTO. We're interested. We're involved. We're invested in the community. I'm not interested in going anywhere else because I'm seeing what we're doing. And I could move to DeKalb when that Fulton, I could. But I want to work here with us. respectfully. So to say that, I'm saying, I think, and I took advanced placement courses. I went to Catholic schools all my life. I'm not an HBCU grad. I'm a Catholic university grad. But with your 8 advanced placement courses, I'm all for disruption. That's how you make change. I'm all for disruption. But when I hear that the majority of our children are not reading at grade level, yes, you have put systems in place to support them, to help shore them up, so to speak. But when I hear that they're not reading on grade level and that you're going to introduce a requirement for them to take those advanced courses, I'm afraid for some of those kids. I am, and I tell you why. Especially in middle school, they're already dealing with so much, as we all expressed. A lot of them are impoverished. A lot of them do have family matters that burden children that should not. I understand that. But it seems like, I want to disrupt, but it seems like we're taping roses to a sickly tree where we haven't addressed the roots of what is really causing our children not to excel as Gwinnett and Fulton and all of those other districts. So I'm saying what Tricia was probably trying to say, but I'm going to say it maybe a little more blunt. She's soft-spoken. What I'm saying is respectfully, when she said the families don't understand the value of education anymore, I think our teachers are wonderful. I really do. But I hold Clayton County's teachers at a higher level of expectation. I don't expect them to do everything. That's why I try to help. She tries to help. I don't expect them to do everything, but I also think they need to have the understanding, I'm working with a different bunch of folks here. So I may have to literally call the parent in and say, your child isn't reading, he's in the 7th grade reading on the 3rd grade level. I need you to do X, Y, Z. Maybe have them sign a contract laying out the steps that they need to do. Now, I'm going to call you back in a month, Ms. Smith, and we're going to see if you have done X, Y, Z. I don't think that we address the roots enough, respectfully. And that's where I think Tricia was saying that, no, we don't expect teachers to do everything. We have to get communities involved, the leadership, the churches. Yes, absolutely. And I appreciate your efforts with that. But I think the teachers should even have like an action plan from the district. I'll help you. I'm a woman of my word. I don't mind writing and drafting. That's my background. I'll help you maybe do a teacher protocol or a packet, not to give them more work, but something to give them bullet points when you know a child is not, he's gotten their lifestyle school. They're in 7th grade, they're not reading on 7th grade level, they're in a magnet school. Do you understand? I'm thinking that we need to come down and pick up in a more aggressive way. We can't take roses to a sickly tree. And I appreciate you.
No, we hear you. And a part of our increased learning expectations is we're looking at our kids who are reading that year or 2 and 3 years below. And so we're modifying even that strategy because we know that certain things are not really addressing the root cause. But I hear you relative to, the role of teachers when we see that a kid is not, actually reaching out to that parent and the principal, getting that parent in there, having that conversation, and conveying, this is what we're doing, and this is what we need you to do in order for us to accelerate these outcomes. And so we'll continue to have that conversation about what we can do. I think we have the right tools.
I think so too.
I think we have the right expectations. I just think now we've got to leverage the use of our people resources to make that human touch.
Exactly, yes, that's what I'm asking for.
That human touch with our parents and our households.
Right.
To have those heart-to-heart conversations.
We gotta go down and meet them. Don't stay down there.
Yeah.
But we have to do a reach back, like an aggressive reach back.
And I agree. You know, and we have to understand that reach out requires a bit more energy depending on one's community.
Yes.
And Clayton is one of those communities where it requires more energy.
It does.
And that's just our reality.
It is.
And so we hear you. So
I
we're
appreciate
going to take that
it.
back
Thank
and
you.
see what we can do to.
Thank you for all of your critical conversations. Thank you for your hard work. I see the turnaround. But I'm thinking if we can just do it in a more aggressive way. We have resources and we have all of these wonderful things you've outlined. I appreciate it. I do. I've watched your videos. I appreciate it. But I also think if we can just put that one extra little thing for the teachers to be more aggressive. And then, because, you know, I think we can document. Even if you say, well, I've tried with parents ABC, I've tried to reach out, the parent is not responsive. At least the teacher has taken a more aggressive approach. And I think that should be it should be an expectation because of everything that I've said. I appreciate you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's give Dr. Beasley another round of applause. Thank you. I'm going to be short, but we've had other districts start reaching out to us regarding our advanced learning plan initiative. And they ask, when are we ready for this? And our question is, when you have courageous leadership. No, every district is not poised to offer access to all students because of the supports that must be in place. And so Dr. Beasley, he is that leader, as we all can echo here. He's courageous, he's disrupting, and we have the right things in place for our students. We just need the collective commitment from everyone. And we see you are because you're here. So thank you again for being here. Thank you so much. I am going to ask that we all have a tweetable moment or social media when we leave here to tweet about what happened today, maybe a quote or key insight that was shared. And also on our website, we have a tool called the Advanced Learning Hub. Please visit the front of the webpage to see the supports that we have in place and resources for the advanced learning. So again, thank you so much for being here.
Can I announce two things? The State of the Schools address is on this Thursday at 6 p.m. here at the Performing Arts Center. So feel free to come out. It will be a great opportunity for the entire community to hear what we're doing to continue to move the district forward. And the PTAs will have, and the school councils will be getting invites. We'll be meeting with them on February 20th.
Yes, sir.
At what time?
6 o'clock to 7:30.
6 to 7. And don't forget, March 19th is the date to vote for the next floss. March 19th. New Morrow High School, new elementary school in the Lovejoy area, new college and career academy, a new early learning center, new school buses, continue our one-to-one initiative giving all 3rd through 12th graders a Chromebook, and new more HVAC upgrades. We want to keep our schools cool in the summer and warm in the winter, renovations, etc. I can't tell you how to vote. I can just tell you that if we don't get that money, those things won't happen. It's just a continuation of our current floss. Anybody missing that penny on the dollar right now? So thank you for going out. March 19th, spread the word. We'll send out reminders every week as we get closer to March 19th. So have we made all the announcements?
And then finally, how did we do? We want your feedback. And so if you have the app with QR code, you can just scan the code, and if they do not have the app, will the link be emailed out? So the link will be emailed and you signed in with the email address, but I think most of us probably have the QR code, and many times if you just frame your camera image around it, it will recognize it. So please give us feedback, and you all thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.